8:49 right now. From the recent vote to sell Thompson Prison to concerns over terror threats at U.S. airports, there's a lot to talk to our next guest about.
Yeah, joining us by phone with his take on the issues is Republican Congressman Peter Roskam. And Congressman Roskam, I understand you left Wheaton at what time this morning?
Well, listen, I have a clear conscience. I left at 7 o'clock,
wow.
And I'm at Damon and Jackson right now in the car. So, hey, it's live TV. What are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly. We're good to have you here. So let's talk about some of the top stories. You know, one of the president's advisors says, be prepared to be shocked when you hear the report released today detailing the intelligence failures that could have been prevented, Christmas Day attack. What are your thoughts on it right now?
Well, my first instinct is that this may be sort of politics 101. Kind of classic line in politics is to drive expectations into the ground. So if it's not quite as shocking as we're all expecting it to be this morning, then there's sort of a political upside. But I think that there's the larger issue is this was a sobering event that took place on Christmas Day, and I think it is a jarring reminder that this war on terror is for real, and it sort of raises this larger question as we're very much involved in it here in Illinois with this debate over whether or not Guantanamo Bay should be closed and then reopened here in Illinois, and that's one of the reasons that I continue to be concerned about this move by Governor Quinn and Senator Durbin and President Obama.
And we want to ask you more about the Thompson prison, but before we go there, in terms of the security that's in place here in the country, do you think someone needs to get fired over this?
Yeah, look, when the father of a would-be terrorist knocks on the door of a United States embassy overseas and points a finger at his son and says, I am very concerned about this, and nothing ends up happening, I think clearly there's got to be some responsibility. And whoever is in that oversight position needs to move on for another task to which they're better suited.
Should the TSA be privatized?
Well, I think that debate has come and gone ultimately. That was a great debate that took place after 2001, and that obviously didn't happen. That is one of the reasons that the Israelis, however, are so successful and that they do have a privatized system and they don't run into this type of situation. But my hunch is that the privatization question ultimately doesn't even get much traction in Washington with this administration.
We want to switch very quickly to health care. Right now, it is being reported that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is angry at the president for supporting the Senate plan, which is the tax on Cadillac plans. I'm reading that it means that taxes on 38% of people making under $200,000 will face that higher Cadillac tax. Will we see a final bill with that?
My hunch is that you will see a final bill with that in it, and this is where I think this health care debate has gotten so far off course. You know, Americans are interested in Congress lowering health care costs, increasing accessibility, and dealing with people who need help with pre-existing conditions. But the notion that somehow we're going to be increasing costs on folks that currently have a good health care package, I think is completely wrong-headed. And what you're sensing is this tension between the president and Speaker Pelosi. The president made a very declarative promise during the course of his campaign that if you made less than $250,000, you weren't going to see an increased tax, and that looks like it's going to be a broken promise.
We want to just end finally on the debate on the Thompson Center, something that you're very passionate about. Another finding saying that reports that many of the Guantanamo detainees that are released to end up engaging back in terror again. Do you think this makes your case for not opening the center here stronger?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, I compliment President Obama for his decision to revisit sending the Yemeni prisoners back to Yemen. But if you follow that same logic, then why in the world would we bring these folks to Illinois when there is an adequate facility at Guantanamo, and when it's clear that Guantanamo Bay, even under the Obama plan, isn't going to be closed? It's simply going to be relocated to Illinois, and I don't think it makes any sense to do that, particularly in light of these recent revelations.
And finally, Congressman Roskam, 4 top Democrats in the Senate are now said to not be running for re-election. How could this change the balance of power, or will it?
I think it's pretty significant. You know, people like Senator Dodd and Senator Dorgan, who are at the tops of their careers and have been waiting decades for the type of power and influence that they have, suddenly to walk away, I think they're looking at the same polling that we all are. The American public is terribly dissatisfied with the leadership in Washington, D.C. right now, and I think are fundamentally hungry for a change. And I think that they're not up for that fight. So I think it will change things in this November election.
Congressman Roskam, thanks so much for joining us live, and please have a safe drive home.
Yeah,
Thank you both.
Enjoy your 2 more hours on the road. Yeah. 4 hours in the car just for this.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
We really appreciate
you do it
it.
that quick.